Okay, it is now time. Except I would like to get this microphone closer. Let's see if it'll let me do it without causing complete chaos. I have so much stuff on my desk right now. Are we good? Are we good? Okay, finally. I think I'm set up. I think. I don't know. Feel free to tell me if you're kind of like, what is happening right now? Because I'm wondering the same thing. I don't know what's happening right now either. I'm so late that's where I am right now. So, like, what is happening? Okay. All right. Last but not least, I'm just trying to see if I can see everybody's chats or all the chats and stuff, because my chat never works, and that's okay because I already know that. So it's not a big deal. But I just kind of want to, in case anybody's saying anything, be able to kind of see you. But you know, we'll see what happens. My Twitch chat. Okay. My Twitch chat is on. Hello, viewers. Hello. Okay, are we excited about Podcasting 101? Are we excited? Because I'm excited. Let's do this. Okay. On GBRLIFE tutorials, I'm going to ask you 1 million questions. We're hitting into the next slide. Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning into tonight's live special session here with GBRLIFE, where we are going to dive into everything that helps you grow, whether that's thriving in the corporate world, or mastering the art of motherhood, or exploring the vast and vibrant realms of media through podcasting. Today, we're embarking on an incredible, exciting journey, a journey to launch your very own podcast in 2024. Now, you might wonder, why podcasting? Well, in the digital age that we happen to be in, podcasting has emerged not just as a form of entertainment, but as a powerful medium for education, for storytelling, creating deep, meaningful connections. Whether you're looking to share unique insights, tell stories that matter, or simply create a space to discuss the topics that you're passionate about, podcasting gives you the platform to do all of that and so much more. But what makes a podcast successful? Is it the quality of a microphone, the celebrity of the host, or the uniqueness of the content? Well, today I'm going to cover everything from the very basics of setting up your podcast to sophisticated strategies for growing your listener base. I'll dive into the nuances of selecting the right niche, understanding the technology that powers the podcasting, and mastering the art of podcast marketing. Plus, I'll share a few personal anecdotes and lessons learned from my own experiences of those seasoned podcasters who, just like you, with an idea and a passion to share it, I've had failures, essentially. So whether you're a first-time podcaster wondering whether to begin, or you've dabbled in podcasting before and you're looking to seriously up your game, you are in the right place. This guide is to help you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to launch your podcast. That's why it's called Podcasting 101. Also, I encourage you to interact, ask questions, and engage. This is a live. So, the beauty of going live is that we can have real conversations. So your questions and your insights will enrich our discussion, and together we'll uncover the full potential of your podcasting journey. So why choose podcasting? Let's just get straight into this, right? For starters, podcasts are a fantastic way to establish authority and build a personal or professional brand. They provide a platform to dive deep into subjects that you are passionate about. Podcasting can humanize your brand, or you, giving your audience a direct line to your thoughts and perspectives in a way that articles or blog posts, they just can't really do that. Moreover, podcasting is a powerful networking tool. As a podcast host, you have the opportunity to collaborate with experts or other influencers in your field. It's expanding your network and your audience as well. Each interview or collaboration brings new insights and expands your reach, bringing listeners from networks of your guests and just anybody that you want, really. But the point is, if you don't think it's for you, keep watching because it may be a better idea than you first thought. So let's first start to see if it's for you by exploring the different types of podcasting, because there's a lot of different formats and each offers a unique benefit and is suited to different styles of content and presentation. You have interview podcasts, and they're perhaps the most popular format. They involve the host engaging in a conversation with one or more guests. This format is excellent for networking and learning and allowing you to explore different viewpoints and expertise in your industry or interest. I forgot to change the screen. But then there's also solo podcasts. Not rarely, but they rely entirely on the host to deliver content. So more like what I do. This format is perfect for you to establish a strong personal connection with your audience or present detailed content on a specific topic without external input. And then there's panel podcasts, which include multiple guest speakers and are similar to panel discussions that you would have at like conferences. And they're ideal for covering diverse opinions on a single topic. And they can be lively or engaging. My favorite kind is storytelling podcasting. And those are narrative driven and they can be factual or fictional. And they're excellent for creators who want to delve into cases, stories, or create immersive experiences similar to like a radio drama. And then you have educational podcasts, and they're designed to instruct and provide value through learning material. Like if this was a podcast right now, this would be an educational one. And they're great for professionals like yourself who wish to share knowledge or tips or hacks on specific subjects such as parenting, mental health, or career growth. Each of these podcast formats have its own set of advantages and can be chosen based on the content that you're wishing to deliver and the relationship that you want to build with your audience. And understanding these formats is crucial because it helps you decide the structure of your podcast and aligns your content strategy with your goals. So now let's talk about planning your podcast. Once you've kind of figured out what kind you want to do. Well, first and foremost, I just kind of said that, choosing your niche. Selecting a niche is perhaps one of the most crucial steps in creating a podcast. Your niche not only defines the content that you will discuss, but also the audience that you will attract. When choosing a niche, consider your passions and expertise. Are you drawn to sharing parenting advice, exploring mental health topics, or dissecting the true crime stories? Perhaps you're interested in a combination of these. And I can give you a few strategies on how to help you identify your niche. We're going to stick to that one right now. So reflect on your passions and expertise. What topics can you talk about for hours without getting bored? What subjects do you have formal, extensive knowledge in? Research existing podcasts. Look at what's already out there. Identify the gaps in the market where your podcast could fill in the unique space. Consider your audience needs. Think about the needs and interests of your potential listeners. What can you offer that you can't find anywhere else? Then test your ideas. Before fully committing, consider testing your concept with potential listeners. Get feedback through social media polls, discussions, or sample content to gauge the interests of your audience. And then you can define your audience. Understanding who your listeners are will guide many of you on your decisions from the tone of the discussions and the marketing strategies you employ. And here, the thing is, you want to define and understand your audience. I think that's one of the other biggest things. You create a listener persona. Imagine your ideal listener. What is their demographics? What problems do they face that your podcast can help solve? And then you engage with the potential listener using platforms like any social media or online forums related to your niche to interact with potential listeners and learn about their preferences and pain points. And then you analyze the competitors' audiences and look at who is listening to similar podcasts, what attracts these listeners, and how you can offer something different or better. And then you set your podcast goals. So you, of course, set your clear goals for the podcast, for essentials in measuring success and maintaining direction, and consider what you aim to achieve with your podcast. Is it to educate, to entertain, create a community, establish your authority in a field? You set SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. So you clearly define what success looks like. Do you want to reach a certain number of listeners? Particular guests cover specific topics. Is it measurable? Ensure that you can track your progress. Achievable. Your goals should be realistic given the resources and the times. Is it relevant? Make sure your goals align with the broader personal and business objectives. And then, is it time bound? Set deadlines for your goals to keep yourself accountable. Okay, now let's get into the part that everyone wants to know about. The technical setup. I'm using it right now. Choosing the right equipment. And it's important. The quality of your audio can greatly influence the success of your podcast. Poor sound quality can turn listeners away, regardless of how compelling your content is. Here's a breakdown of the essential equipment that you will need. Microphone. A good microphone is crucial. Whether you choose a USB microphone or an XLR microphone for superior sound or quality control, it's not quality control, quality and control. Make sure it suits your recording environment and your style. Examples include the Audio-Technica ATR 2100X USB for beginners or the Shure SM7B for more advanced podcasters. Or you can get what I have, which is the Shure MV7, and for $100 cheaper, just get the pop filter for the other Shure, that's $16, and basically have something really great. But you can also get a Yeti or a Snowball, but then you're going to need to get that quality in after recording. Now, headphones. Okay, they're great, and they need to really work for you. They need to be durable, they need to be comfortable, they need to have good sound isolation, and they need to focus on the voice over the bass. Audio interface. If you're using an XLR microphone, you need to use an audio interface to connect your microphone to your computer. The Focusrite Scarlett series is a popular choice that is excellent quality and it's at a reasonable price point. Or you can go with the Elgato microphones and use their audio interface. They have bundle deals, and if you choose an XLR microphone, you don't need this. Well, you do need it. It depends on which one you use. But if you go for a USB microphone, you don't need anything. But you can also get a mixer. It really just depends on what you're looking for. But there's a lot of choices with Elgato. And they kind of work with your budget. I do really love Elgato right now. Next up, you're going to need a pop filter and a mic stand. They're going to help lessen, which you kind of see right here. It's over this right here. They lessen the hard P's and B sounds. It's a stable mic and a stable mic stand. It's a stable situation that you're putting yourself into when you have that kind of pop filter and all of that. So it's a good idea to invest in these things, even if you think you don't need it. You really do it. And if you plan to record interviews with guests remotely or prefer the flexibility of cloud-based solutions, online recording platforms can be exceptionally beneficial. So we're going to want to get into that next. I forgot, because I waited to do my actual presentation. I forgot to actually change it. So y'all can't see it over here, TikTok. The rest of you can. But it's my next slide is about choosing the right equipment. Pretty much everything I was saying with microphones, headphones, audio interference, mixer, pop filter, and mic stand for you TikTok people. And after that is now the recording and editing software. All right, so let's get started on what editing and recording software is probably the best you're gonna use. Best options out there. I'm gonna be completely honest. And I've used many. First one, Audacity. It's free, it's open source, and it's perfect for beginners and offers enough functionality for basic recording and editing. So it's nothing sparkly, but it works really well. I've used it and I've loved it, but it's not perfect. So if you feel like moving on from here, you try it, you don't really like it, you can go to Adobe Audition, which technically is for more advanced users. And this is because Adobe Audition provides comprehensive editing tools. And it really it has so many effects to enhance audio quality significantly. But I do think that YouTube or TikTok tutorials can get you where you need to go. So don't run away from the complex book cover of Adobe, really. Consider it, if you have time, for just a few tutorials here or there. And then there's GarageBand, which is a great Mac user one. It's user-friendly and pretty basic, but it's good. Reaper, which offers extensive features at a low cost, and then some professional grade software options. But it's also suitable for beginners, but it's more for like the more advanced podcaster. And then there's Riverside FM. As an online recording platform, Riverside FM stands out by allowing you to record both audio and video podcasts directly into your browser with a studio quality sound. And this is actually a big deal because I've just seen that they've kind of not inked a deal, but it seems like they're really merging with Spotify. So it's kind of a big deal that this is happening with Spotify. But the key features of Riverside FM is the ability to record each guest's audio locally on their device, ensuring high quality sound regardless of internet fluctuations. I mean, that's huge. And this is particularly useful for interviews or co-hosted podcasts where participants are not in the same place. Again, kind of a big deal. It's a great editing software in that sense, but I will also say it costs money. It's not free, but it's a good option depending on what you're doing. And then you have Zencastr, which is similar to Riverside. Zencastr offers high-quality audio recordings with a simple interface for recording podcasts remotely. It provides the option to record in lossless wave format, ensuring the best audio quality for post-production editing. Squadcast is another one. It's an option for remote recordings. It focuses on audio quality and the ease of use, with additional features like video recording to capture nonverbal cues during interviews. And then when selecting a recording platform, consider the specific features you need, such as video capabilities, ease of use, integration with other tools, and the quality of recordings. Many of these platforms offer trial periods, so you can experiment with several to see which fits your life and what you're kind of trying to do. So after all of the wonderful options that you have with recording and editing software, of course that happens because I was selected on the wrong thing, let's talk about creating a recording space. Because your environment plays a significant role in the audio quality, obviously, of your podcast. Even the best microphones cannot compensate for noisy or echoey rooms. So here's some tips to set up an effective recording space. Obviously your room choice. Quietest room possible. Avoid rooms with a lot of echoes, which seems counterintuitive. A lot of people think that echoes are a good thing when you're dealing with audio. Not for podcasting. They sell the foam things to put on walls and stuff. They're relatively cheap. You can find them on Amazon, and it does help with the echo. Very cheap, very cheap. And it does help with the echo. I said it like 2 or 3 times now, so very cheap. And it does help with the echo. And I mean, that was actually the next one, which is soundproofing. But then there's soundproofing. Oh, and you know, the other thing you can do is just put up photos. Surprisingly, it helps. You can put up things like panels, a carpet, or rugs, curtains. They're pretty simple solutions. Oh, or bookshelves filled with books. A closet filled with clothes. It's shocking, but these things actually help with the sound, and it isolates it in area. So when you have your microphone in front of you and all of that around you, obviously you're going to sound great. And that's kind of what you're looking for in your space. Next up, though, we've got your microphone position. Your microphone has to be positioned how that microphone works. You want to make sure that you have shock mounts to reduce vibration, a stand for noise. And remember, each microphone is not created equally, which is why I'm actually going to change my thing right here, because we're going to go into microphones. They come in various types, and each are designed to capture sound completely differently, depending on what you're doing, right? Okay. Let's go into all of them. There's quite a few, 9 of them in total. So the first one is the omnidirectional microphone. So first and foremost, I did mention the XLR and the USB and just the rest of the other types of microphones before getting into within that, the different types of microphones. But I want to say every single type of microphone that you are interested in, there's going to be a version that is extremely user-friendly. So when you're out there looking for that microphone, everything I'm about to say, don't be scared of what you might have in front of you and think, okay, I can no longer use this. You can. You just need to make sure that you're positioning that microphone for it to work. Even if you need the quick, user-friendly, just USB plug-in, you can find, for example, the omnidirectional in that USB quick and easy plug-in format. Okay, so omnidirectional. The characteristics is that it captures sound from all directions equally. So they're great for ambient noises or when sound sources are coming from multiple directions, like in a conference room or during field recordings. Then you have the cardioid microphones, and their characteristics are they pick up sound primarily from the front and the sides, but not really from the back. So obviously not great for an interview. And they would be used in a live performance and studios where you're isolating sound from, the main source, such as speaking, or singing directly into a microphone. And then there's the supercardioid and the hypercardioid. And these have a tighter pickup pattern than the cardioid mics. They capture more sound from the front and less from the sides, with a small pickup area from the back. They're great for live sound situations where the sound isolation is more critical, but some ambient noise is accepted. Then you have the bidirectional or figure-8 microphones. They capture sound equally from the front and the back, but they reject the sounds from the side. Those are great for interviews and a situation where 2 people are talking, across from each other, and there's the microphones in between. Then you have the shot the microphones, and they're, I don't know what's allowed just in case, social media. Highly directional, capturing sound primarily from a narrow area in the front. And they're ideal when used in film and TV production to record dialogue, or sounds from a distance focusing on the subject while ignoring other sources. And then there's the boundary or PZM, pressure zone microphone. And those can be placed on a flat surface, capturing sounds from multiple directions with phase coherency. And they're ideal to use basically in rooms where sound is going to be bouncing off of the surfaces like the walls and the floors and the ceilings, like a theatrical production or a conference setting. And then you have things like the lavalier, which this one isn't entirely lavalier, this is more completely wireless. They're small, they can be clip-on, but they can also be omnidirectional, cardioid, and they're commonly used for television, theater, public speaking, anything that allows for hands-free operation. And then you have the dynamic and the condenser microphones. So the dynamic are robust. They can handle high sound pressure levels well, and they're mainly used for live sound and recording loud sources. Condensers are more sensitive and ideal for capturing subtle nuances in studio settings. And then you have the testing and tweaking of all of this, right? Because once you've got it, like, how do you use all of this, right? Well, you spend your time testing different setups. You put your microphone in different places, and then you see what works best. After recording a little bit, literally with your microphone, and seeing just how it sounds, including the rest of your setup. And that's really how you're going to get your setup perfectly. So even if it's not aesthetically pleasing, try and figure out how you can make it more aesthetically pleasing, but that sound is the most important thing because we're talking about a podcast. So people want that good sound. Now, if you happen to be doing a live interview or something like that at the same time, you can improvise plants. They're great. I literally just saw an article recently about how if you're trying to figure out how to make your space look better for lives or just anything anything that's putting you in front of a camera or your space in front of a camera and you don't really know what to do with the space, they do recommend using plants. So just saying, I'm gonna just fix this real quick because it's comfortable. That's my happy place. Oh no, I just noticed that y'all can see me, but others cannot. And now I'm gonna have to fix that. Alrighty. I'm sorry that you can't see me, everyone else. You can TikTok, but everybody else cannot. Okay, hold on just one moment. I'm going to make myself no longer as super duper comfortable and figure out why I'm not showing up on the other side. I have to take all of my blanket, my happy blanket, my comfortable blanket. Okay. That was fun. Because nothing ever goes wrong in my lives because I'm on time. My camera never messes up and my microphone never goes wrong. And I'm laughing because what I'm saying is that anybody who's ever joined any of my lives knows that every single time something goes wrong. And hopefully you all can see, I literally did nothing. I was just telling you about my, just going through the presentation, and it just decided to just shut off. So that was fun. Okay, but I'm sorry that happened. You gotta laugh though. You gotta laugh. Okay, but now I'm getting myself reset up. Oh, India, hi. So you did, well, you missed like half. You missed like half. That's okay. Here's what we're going to do. For anybody just joining, really quickly, we're just going to go through real quick. I'm not going through every little detail, probably. Don't yell at me, anybody else who's already watching. I'm not going through every little detail, but India, just so you know, one of the, it will be on YouTube. But one of the good things is that not only will it be on YouTube, but everything, like GBRLIFE.com is going to have everything in general. You know, so the actual, like, for example, anybody on TikTok, you cannot see my my actual, oh my God, what is it called? Presentation. So unfortunately, I'm saying a whole bunch of words, but you can't see this beautiful presentation that I created. Everybody else, you can see the beautiful presentation that I created, which is great, and I'm very excited about that. But that means that any one of you, you can watch the YouTube video and you'll see the nice presentation I created, or you can go to GBRLIFE.com and you will still see that presentation, because I do have a section. You just go to that specific page for lives and you'll be able to see the entire live. And mostly I might edit out the part where my camera just decided to stop working and I was just not there. But we'll see, because I don't know how long that's been going on. So there's that too. So India, I don't know if you saw that. That was fun. But just going back through it, just so that you get like a little bit of an idea of what I was going through. I'm actually going to go backwards. And also, just in case anybody's missed anything or you want to ask any questions, I've kind of said this before. I can't always see all the questions. But that doesn't mean that I don't try to have the chat right in front of me. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask anytime. It's not a problem at all. And I will stop and go through anything that needs to be rediscussed. But essentially, if I go back up into my presentation, so anybody who's seeing it, just a really quick breakdown. We have about 5 different types of podcasts: interview, solo, panel, storytelling, and educational. You have to figure out which one works best for you. After that, obviously you figured out which is going to work best for you, and then you're going to have to figure out within there, just in case anybody's coming in new too, so because I literally had to stop because of the microphone. So it's completely fine. I just quickly go through some of the basics. I'm not going into the details, but thankfully, because I was only like halfway through, the rest of it, you get to hear the real details. That's coming up. Like I am going to talk about how to monetize your podcast. So after you figure out your one of the 5 different types of podcasts you can set up, then you need to figure out and define your niche and your goals. You can identify an angle, clarify your podcast goals, conduct audience research, and come up with a show concept. And basically the idea of that, really the whole of it, is just to figure out who your audience is. I'm really summarizing, but figure out who your audience is. Once you figure out who your audience is, don't go straight into doing your podcast. Go straight into seeing what other people do for their podcast. And then also taking your little tidbits and also seeing what grabs people's attention. It could be from videos you create. It could be going into different places like Quora or Reddit and seeing what people are gravitating to. And then what those people are gravitating to, what do you have to offer into all of that? And how can you make yourself different? I mean, they seem difficult. Like very difficult questions, but it's not as difficult once you're doing the research, because usually it becomes very glaringly obvious about what you need to do in front of you. And then after that, I went into technical setup. So you need to think about 5 specific things for your technical setup: microphone, headphone, audio interface, mixer, pop filter, and mic stand. I know that sounds like a lot. And I went into all the different reasons prior, so anybody who's still watching from that, you know why. But I'm just going to, again, summarize and basically say it like this. Your microphone has to be good because you want good sound quality. You want good headphones because you gotta hear yourself, and if you can't hear yourself and know that the sound sounds good to you, and then also I didn't mention this before, but what does it sound like outside of the headphones as well? As a matter of fact, I didn't say this in here at all before, so I'm glad that I'm going through it again. Make sure that you're playing the sound in your car, play the sound on a TV, play the sound in your headphone, and see what you sound like. So you can see how your microphone is actually working. Yeah, so metrics. There's a lot of places you can use metrics. Spotify definitely does use, it can give you metrics on a podcast that's already created. Absolutely it can. But okay. This isn't in here, but I would suggest that anybody who wants to see metrics, look into social media management tools, because they're going to give you a better metrics than probably anything else. They're watching your growth. They're watching who, what, where, when, and why with that. But that being said, you can check your metrics out in every single location that your podcast is in, and it's going to show different results. So you will want to know where your podcast is showing up. And I'll get into the RSS feeds and that part, and kind of stop and go into that a little bit more. So think about it like this. If you're on Spotify and you're on Apple, well, there's people who use Spotify and there's people who use Apple. Apple users and Android users are not the same people. So they're going to be different, and they're going to want different things, and they're going to be interested in different things. So you would have to use the metrics to see how you are doing everywhere. And that's why I like social media management tools, because they kind of allow you to go into it's like a one-stop shop. But then there's other, which I'm going to get into, there's other platforms, and this is actually part of it, the hosting platforms. And that's one of the reasons why you want a hosting platform, not just to go directly and put your podcast into one location. You want a podcast hosting platform, because you're going to be able to see more information on your podcast and how it's doing kind of everywhere, versus you went directly into Spotify and you just put it there and you're like, okay, well, let's see how it goes, and then you use your RSS feed. No, you want to use as much as you can, and get it as much as you can. Get it everywhere. Wow, I'm just saying everything horribly right now. This is not flowing the way I want it to flow, but that's okay, because I have a performance. I have a presentation, so and it says it perfectly. And to answer your questions about wireless mics, I'm actually going to go to the next slide. So for anybody else, you can see exactly. There's actually about 8. I said 9. There's 8 different types of microphones: omnidirectional, cardioid, supercardioid, hypercardioid, bidirectional, figure 8, shots, boundary or pressure zone microphones, lavalier, which is kind of what you're talking about with wireless, kind of, dynamic, and condenser, and that's pretty much it. Now, why did I not answer your question with just a simple yes or no? It depends on what you're doing. So for you, I would say you could get away with that, because I happen to know, for those who are watching, India, who has Talk Accounting to Me, her podcast, which is amazing, and she goes live on Wednesdays as well. So any and all of your accounting needs, I attend this, because I'm like, I need to know how to do this, right? So for accounting purposes, she's fantastic. And she has her podcast. So her type of podcast is live. technically, because she's doing live streaming. And this is where you have to kind of go into all of the different types and really figure out what is best for you. But I am going to answer your question, because you do have, as you said, you're looking into the XLR mics for a more crisp sound. But I will say this, you do not have to get an XLR for that. I'm actually using a microphone right now that is a great alternative, and it is a plug and play. And I love this microphone. And it's not the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive either, but it is a Shure. So that being said, okay, so wireless mics, those are great, again, for like live settings and things like that, when you're looking into all the different types of microphones. But when you're talking about also recording, and also something that can be a little bit easier to use, especially if you have, I don't know, kids running around, like myself, other people, I'm going to say, I try not to say to people, use this exactly. But I did my research myself on using what microphone that I thought would work best for my podcast. Now, I haven't released all of the new seasons and stuff of my stuff, so it kind of seems like I'm saying a lot of things, and if you hear my old podcast, you'd be like, wow. But I can promise you, I've done my research, lots of changes, done the listening, things have changed greatly, and that is the Shure MV7, or is it MB7? It's literally the one that's in front of me right now. I do have a wireless mic, and that is simply for going live on TikTok. That is it. I do not care about this anywhere else. I'm gonna be completely honest. But if I'm making a quick social media thing or something like that, these wireless mics are fantastic for that. It's quick, they're portable, you just go, right? But you don't want to use something like this when you're recording a microphone, when you're creating a podcast, because it's not as reliable, not as crisp, not as, it's not going to give you the audio that you're looking for. So I'm just going to go back up through my notes, and I know I should know exactly which microphone I'm literally using that's in front of me right in this exact moment. And it's because the two of them sound very similar to each other. So there's a Shure M7B, and then there's the Shure MV7. And this one is the Shure MV7. This one is it in regards to you want to spend less money. The Shure M7B is an XLR microphone. It is one of the best on the market. And when I say one of the best, I mean Michael Jackson wouldn't use any other microphone. So that tells you something. A lot of the people that go watch podcasts, you're going to see, I don't want to move it because I've had technical difficulties today, and I'm afraid that I'm going to move this, but it says Shure right on the side. Go watch any other podcast, and you're going to notice that people are using a Shure microphone, and I can tell you that they're most likely using the Shure M7B. Shure SM7B. However, what I found through research is, if you use the Shure MV7, like I'm using, you can get the same sound quality as the Shure M7B, as long as you change the pop filter. That is all. And the pop filter, so we're talking about $100 difference in the microphones. $100. So to me, if I'm spending an extra $100, and here's the other difference, I'm going to want it to work in every possible way. Well, it does not. While the Shure M7B will give you some of the best sound quality that you're ever going to get, it is an XLR, which means that you can only use it in very particular setups and locations. However, the Shure MV7 that I'm using is a USB microphone. And I know you're probably like, how is that good? Because Shure does not make bad microphones. Okay, they don't. They only make good stuff. And basically, to create the same sound as the SM7B, you just change the pop filter. So the one I have that's in front of me, it's very large. It's a giant thing. And if I touch it, too hard, it could fall off of the microphone easy. But and I will send it to you and do exactly which one I'm using, the pop filter. And it was $16. 16. So I'm spending $100 less and then going and getting this for $16. So technically, I can say that I can add in the $16 instead of the $100, but at the end of the day, I can also use this on anything. So I still look at it like a separate charge, because I can take this off of that mic like that and move on from it. But it will give you the exact same sound quality. And again, if you don't believe me, search the web. You will find it yourself, because I've done the research and others told me this. Oh my goodness, you gave me a gift. Thank you, India. Thank you. But yeah, so microphones in those circumstances, when you're going live, this is why I like this one for you. When you're going live, you can use it because it's plug and play right into your computer, and probably can work on a tablet, or shoot, it probably could work on a phone, okay? Let's be honest, it can, because it's just plug and play. So this is a microphone that I would say, if you're going live and you're recording and you want just a lot of flexibility, and I believe it's omnidirectional, which means it's capturing noise from all sides, versus this is the Rode, I think this is the Wireless Me. This is not omnidirectional, and you actually, this one in particular it's not my favorite. A lot of people say really great things about it. I don't love it. I'm sorry. But the point is, you have to also use what's best for you. I feel like having flexibility and not wanting to spend a whole bunch of money, but also sounding extremely professional, this is the way to go. But again, it depends on what you're doing. If you're just talking to a mic and you're just telling people, I say it like, you're just doing that. No, but if you're speaking to the mic and you're telling people something for their benefit, which would be more for the educational podcast, yeah, I think that these microphones are fantastic. On the other hand, within the other 8 microphones that I talked about, other people are going to need something if they're going to go live or they're singing, and it's very important also, when you know what your sound set up in your room is, what actually works for you as well. Because as much as I'm saying this may actually work fantastic for you, but it may also cause issues down the line when you are trying to edit your recordings and stuff, depending on the sound of your room and how it's picking up noise. Because depending on, they pick up sound in a lot of different ways. So you have to be mindful of what you are doing and how you want that microphone to work for you. So you look into the characteristics of each microphone and determine what microphone you want. And I will always say, look into Shure first. Exactly, you're going to be strictly talking. Yeah, so for you, the Shure MV7. I literally have to read it because my brain it just mixes those two together all the time. And you have to remember both, because you get the microphone that is the USB, which is the MV7. Did I say it right? MV7. And then you have to get the pop filter of the SM7B. So you're always looking up both, and that's why it gets confusing to me. Okay, so now you know about that with the microphones. So let's get into exactly what I'm pretty sure you want to know about, which is, actually, I went into one other thing, and you did not hear about that. Did I already talk about, I feel like I did. Did I already talk about the editing software? Recording and editing software. Oh, you're getting that link, I promise you. If anyone else is wondering on the other side, I am telling India that I will send her the link. And as a matter of fact, for all of you, if you are interested in any of the stuff that I am using, I will literally link that with the recording of my live on GBRLIFE.com. Obviously, I can put it on YouTube as well in the description box after this is all said and done, but it's going to take a moment to put it there. Not that long, I promise. I'm not going to make everyone wait that long, but I will also put it at GBRLIFE.com, so you will always be able to find any of these items that I'm talking about in the description or on GBRLIFE.com. Could I say it one more time, GBRLIFE.com, just so you know that? Okay. But the other thing after microphones is recording and editing software. And I just, yeah, so I went through that too. And you need to know that as well because you were editing your podcast today. These are probably some of the best ones out there. Okay, wait, that's distribution. I have my notes in front of me. I need to drink something too because I've been talking a lot. Oh. You use Audacity to record and edit. Perfect. You got it. So perfect. So I was going to say the 7 options were Audacity was number 1. Audacity is my second favorite of all time. Why is it my second favorite? Because I use my first favorite now. But I used Audacity first. So I said 5 in my hand, but I said 7 out loud. What is wrong with this brain? So 7 of them total. Audacity, Adobe Audition, GarageBand, Reaper, Riverside FM, which I know you saw, India, because of Spotify and their collab that's going on. And I will actually go into that a little bit more because back in the day, which wasn't that long ago, just a couple of years ago, it's a little different, but I'll say that in a minute. And then Zencaster and Squadcast. Now, Audacity is my number 1 favorite because it's free. Okay? I'm just going to be blatantly honest. When you're starting a podcast, I like it because it's free. And it's good for kind of just getting what you need done and not making it... Exactly. You're going right into exactly what where I was going to go into next. So Audacity is very user friendly, and then we have Adobe Audition, which is my favorite. Adobe Audition is my favorite because even though it is complicated, there are Microsoft. Wow, there are YouTube tutorials all over for it. If you don't know how to do something. And this is why I said this earlier, I'm going to repeat it again for all of those watching. Just because it's more difficult, if you have the time, and it doesn't mean a lot of time, I promise all of you, if you have an opportunity, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, you can learn the basics of Adobe Audition, and it is game-changing. Audacity is fantastic. But Adobe Audition blows it out of the water. It really does. I don't want to like Adobe that much. I don't because it's... Oh, I have to do the verification thing. Oh, shoot. Okay. Oh, that was scary. Adobe is... They're a subscription-based model, and, you know, it kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. You're paying for something monthly. Nobody really wants to do that. You want to be able to just kind of buy the software, and that's it. And even if you kind of have to pay something monthly, it's, I don't know, it just seems... like not so fun these days, or the way that you have to work with Adobe, because even if you want anything extra with it, you got to pay for it. That's how Adobe works. But they do have the creative package, and they also have just the ability to just to have the subscription with Audition by itself. The Audition subscription, I believe, is $20. I want to say it's 20. I don't think it's 30. I think it's $20 a month. If that seems like a lot, the good news is they do have packages where you can get like Adobe Audition and I believe it's no longer called Express. I think it's called something else, but it's kind of like a Canva and a few other tools that they have as well. And I will say this, they have some stuff. Adobe has some stuff. You're talking about industry leaders for a reason. And it's all complex, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it is all complex, but there's YouTube tutorials on it. But they have those packages where you may spend maybe $40 to $60 a month, but you have access to all of it. And they can be a one-stop shop like Microsoft, in the sense that Microsoft has all of the different, PowerPoint and Word and Excel and all of that together, and most people know they all work together. They finally figured out how to make literally everything work together, and it really does. Adobe's exactly the same way. So even though it's more confusing, I still say if you can go down that road, because at the end of the day, you're going to be able to, especially as you grow, you're going to be able to skyrocket, whereas others are always going to be more mediocre. I hate to say it. Sorry, but it's true. Okay. That all being said, of course, there was GarageBand, which is for Mac. Reaper, that one, you can be an experienced user or a beginner. But I don't know, I just feel like just go to Audacity, to be honest. Now, Riverside FM, the other thing about it, what'd you say? Okay, see, yeah, because you have Microsoft Office. So just dive into Adobe and just go into it to see. I think they have trials and stuff, and you just go and you do some YouTube videos, and when you're ready. Maybe not immediately, because you should be ready to want to do that dive in, but yeah. It's not, I'm not going to lie to you and say it's easy, but I do think that that's a long-term benefit you will not regret. You really won't, especially if you want to go season after season after season of your podcast and have the ability to grow. You're always going to have great sound quality, especially you have a great mic, you have your room correctly set up. And no, the room and the situation I'm in currently in this exact moment is not set up perfectly for a podcast right now. So don't look around me right now and go like, yeah, but no. But I do have the tools, and you could set up a room like that. Really, you can, when you know what you're working with. And then using something like Audacity or Adobe Audition or GarageBand or Reaper and so on are going to be easy. You're going to literally go in. This is why I like the Shure, everyone, because at the end of the day, you sound so good on this microphone that literally you just plug in the music and you're like, what? That sounds so professional. It really, this microphone, I love this thing. I love it. You all don't hear that because I'm using this one, so don't judge the sound. Go watch the YouTube video. And then you hear the good sound. Okay, but then Riverside FM. So Spotify for podcasters, which is formerly Anchor, they had their own editing stuff like right inside of it. So you wouldn't be able to do any editing, or you could do editing anywhere else, but you could directly record and do very basic editing right there inside of Anchor. Did I do that? Yeah, I did. I don't suggest that to anybody. That was some times. That was some moments in my life, and I did that. But it was also crazy in the world in that moment. So I did what I did. I don't recommend it though. But now they are working with Riverside FM So I don't know what that's going to mean for pricing and where that's going to go. But I will say that Riverside FM is exciting. It kind of is. And if you continue wanting to go live, I'm not gonna lie, I would heavily suggest just clicking on their website and just getting a little bit of a better idea. Specifically, this is to India, but anybody who's doing live streaming or online video podcasting in addition to your actual audio, yeah, check into Riverside FM. It may be a better option for you over Audacity, Adobe Audition, and all the rest of them. But I don't know, I do kind of love Adobe enough to say that they're good to have in your pocket. And I hate them enough to say that they're annoying to pull out the money from your pocket. So I don't love paying them. But I like that they're in my pocket at the same time. Such a love-hate relationship that I have with Adobe. Yeah. It's, you should. Well, again, I mean, everything I say, though, in all of this is whatever's going to be best for you. Because I can't tell somebody, hey, this is what's best, and this is what's best, and this is what's best. And the reason for that is because everybody's doing a different type of podcast, and for different reasons, different lengths, just different in all aspects. And so everything I'm saying is more about, this is everything that I know that's out there, and this is just kind of tips on how to help you make the decisions to make the podcast be amazing and be noticed. So that being said, let me continue along, and let's get into podcast hosting. But after I find where I am on my notes. It won't take long. I promise. Just a second. Okay. Right there. I found it. Okay. So now let's talk podcast hosting and distribution. Choosing the right hosting platform when it comes to podcast hosting and selecting the right platform is crucial, as it affects where your podcast and how your podcast is stored, managed, and distributed. A good hosting platform not only stores your audio files, but also simplifies the distribution of your podcast to various streaming services like Spotify, Apple, Google, and many others. And so let's now look into which ones are good. Anchor, now known as Spotify for podcasters, is free. And it offers unlimited free hosting, automatic distribution to major platforms, monetization options through the sponsored segments, listener donations, and easy integration with Spotify since it is owned by, Spotify. And it is best for beginners who want to start a podcast with minimal initial investment. Remember that. You're not putting in a lot of money, so you get to really feel the way around and get your stuff out there. It also starts getting your listeners in, and maybe smaller batches in the beginning or maybe huge batches. It just depends on your podcast and what you have to offer. But you're doing it in a professional way with monetization options. And then there's Podbean, which offers a free plan and it has basic features. But then there's the paid plans that start at $9 a month, and they include more storage, advanced analytics. So what you were talking about with analytics, Podbean, which $9 a month, starting there, can give you that, and monetization options. And those features include a user-friendly interface, unlimited storage and bandwidth on paid plans, integrated monetization, and live streaming capabilities. Podbean is one of the best-known podcasting hosting platform options, but there's many others out there, so it's really about whether or not you want tried and true or you want another option, but that doesn't mean it is the only option. I need to make that very clear before I continue. There are other options, but yes, it is the most discussed and more used platform out there. More used, most used most used podcast platform. These tongue twisters today out there. Apparently, I need sleep because I know when I say stuff like that, it's because I need sleep. Okay. Anyways, so for live podcasting, it's really good, Podbean. Now there's Libsyn. I don't know if I said that right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. It happened. The plans there start at $5 a month, but there is limited storage, and it does have comprehensive plans, but it has advanced analytics, and monetizations go up to $40 a month. And the features, what I'm trying to say with the $40 a month is that their monetization does have limits with what you spend and what you can get. But it's good. But it's good. Okay. So the features are robust distribution options, detailed analytics, custom mobile apps for an additional fee, and multiple monetization methods. And this is best for serious podcasters who need extensive distribution and detailed analytics. Don't use this one unless you're at that point. You're going to spend a lot more money. That's kind of the point I was trying to make. You're spending money, they're giving money. It's great, but it's a lot of, I'm not going to lie and say like it's not cheap. It's not cheap. So that's why they say more serious podcasters for that one. And then next up, you have Buzzsprout, which I've heard around. I think it's getting as popular as Podbean. And it's free for a limited time, 2 hours each month with episodes hosted for 90 days. And their paid plans start at $12 a month for 3 hours of upload each month with indefinite hosting. And their features are, it's easy to use, it's great for beginners, they have transcription services and wonderful customer support, and it's great for new podcasters who want a user-friendly platform with straightforward pricing and the option to grow. So this is, I think, a great competitor to Podbean, but they're not exactly the same. So again, like I say, you need to go in and actually look at these places and see what's best for you. So if it's going to be Podbean, it's very well known, tried and true in that way, user friendly, and a lot of people just won't leave it. But of course, you can also go to Buzzsprout, tried and true so far. I mean, it's been around for a little while. I'm not going to say it hasn't. And then you have Simplecast. Their basic plan starts at $15 a month with unlimited storage and essential analytics. And then you have industry-leading features like one-click publishing, multiple show management. And that's a big deal too, because if you are somebody who right now you're like, I have this podcast in mind, but I plan on doing like 10,000 more, I need water. And the amount that I'm exaggerating, obviously, when I say 10,000. But if you're planning on doing a lot more, you may also want to consider that as you're looking for the best podcast platform, hosting platform, because obviously today, if you have one, you're good, but then do you want to continue to pay $9 a month because you went to Podbean, but now you have multiple podcasts and you're like, uh-oh. Or, I was going to say something else, but I'm not going to because you're all going to find out about it in the future. But we'll just say that GBRLIFE has things in the pipeline. So, okay. For this one, for Simplecast, you will have great analytics and, like I said, managing multiple shows. And then you have Transistor. Prices starting at $19 a month, unlimited podcasts and downloads, and they're great for podcast networks. Thank you for all my likes, by the way. And here you're going to be able to get analytics, scheduling, the ability to create private podcasts. Very good, but I will also say Patreon. There's other ways. So I wouldn't like, oh, just because of the private pod. There's so many options with that one. but they're best for professional podcasters and businesses that require features for private podcasting or have multiple shows under their management. Obviously, some businesses are going to need that. Just depends on what you're doing, what you need. And then Castos. Oh, I need to, because yeah. Castos, it's starting at $19 a month, unlimited storage. Now, here's a big one, and we're going to talk about that next. It has a seamless WordPress integration, and okay, that's kind of big, right? Because I'm talking about WordPress. What do we all know WordPress is? It's a website, right? So it gives you the ability to have a website. It's another hosting platform. So we're gonna get into that literally next, but it's definitely something to consider with where you're going with your podcast and what your plan is with it. And specifically, Castos is kind of taking on the idea of something like Square. I'm not even gonna, because I'm gonna get into it in a second, but like, again, website, hosting platform. So it's like, because WordPress is technically a hosting platform, but for websites. So you have hosting with hosting. I mean, that's a good duo. That's a good duo. But there's also, it can do automatic transcription and YouTube republishing. So, yay. And they're best for podcasters who use WordPress for their website and want a deeply integrated podcast solution. And then there's Blueberry, also another good one that a lot of people are using and wanting. And they have a lot of storage options as well, a lot of detailed statistics, also WordPress integration and PowerPress and plug-in, and it's excellent with customer support. It is best for people who want to integrate their podcast with WordPress as well and have a good customer service. And the last one is Streamlabs. Now, Streamlabs is not something that is conventionally said for podcasting, but it is an idea if you're kind of doing it more with live streaming and getting your live stream in a lot of different places, and also being able to take that audio, going into something like Adobe Audition, but not even necessarily having to, because Streamlabs has a few options that they have themselves with their Prime. Which is not to be confused with Amazon Prime. It is Streamlabs Prime, and it is $19 a month. And again, it is not traditionally a podcast hosting platform, but it is going to spread you out there in a different way. So again, it depends on what you're doing. But it is great for not just audio, but video content. And it provides extensive customization options, real-time engagement tools, such as chat and alerts, and integration with multiple streaming platforms. For podcasters interested in live shows, Streamlabs allows you to broadcast directly to your audience and interact with them in real time, which can be repurposed into podcast episodes. And they're best for basically people. I'm sorry, my entire notes just went boop. But they're best for people who are interested in kind of changing up what they're doing and being a little bit different, but also going along with what is happening out there in the world today. In the sense that you have a lot of new, I don't want to say specific name of podcast because, I mean, I don't want to get, I don't know if it get anyone in trouble or anything like that, but it's not like it's bad or anything, but like I'm saying different names. But these specific podcasts, they actually are more about live streaming than they are about the podcast, and it's kind of like the secondary thing. So in a lot of ways, they're using the podcast hosting platforms, maybe like Spotify, to get their stuff out there everywhere. But their main thing is something like Streamlabs because they want people to interface with them and in their faces. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. Like I keep saying. Okay. And now, let me go over here. All right, we're gonna get next into the fun part, RSS feeds, right? I love RSS feeds. I really do. I know, I'm like a nerd with that. I badly just need to drink a ton of water. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm also scrolling through my notes while I'm doing this. Talking for like an hour, I don't know how some people do that. I'm like, oh my God, my voice hurts. And it's been a while since I've been on live because I've been sick a lot. Like sick and then sick and then sick and then sick and then sick. No lie. And that sounds extreme, right? Legitimately. My family has been like, we're sick a week on and then a week off. We're like, oh, we're starting to get better. And then we're like, oh my God, like I'm still, how am I still sick right now? I'm like, I get sick again. Like my entire family would just get sick again. You know, like it's just, anyways, it's been a lot, but I'm clearly trying to get back into the norm. Okay. RSS feeds. So why do I love RSS feeds? Because they're amazing. Really, they are. What does RSS feed stand for? It stands for really simple syndication. No one's going to tell you that, but I figured might as well just mention what it actually means, right? But why is it essential? Because it basically is how you're getting your podcast everywhere. That's what they're using. They're using an RSS feed. That's how they're distributing it. So when you know that, you can take your RSS feed and utilize it however you want to. You can still use a distribution, and you want that option. Everything that I said about all of the hosting platforms, remember, you can always go back to the actual presentation, look at that, GBRLIFE.com. But you can distribute it anything you want, anywhere. When you know what your RSS feed is, and where to put it in, and also backlinks. A lot of people don't think about backlinks, but that's kind of how Google finds a lot of your things. And if you can get essentially what I'm trying to say is, like, somebody's listening to a podcast, right? Or they're setting up something on their mobile app, or they're setting up a website or whatever, and they really like C-SPAN. I don't know. That's horrible, though. Why would you like C-SPAN? But they take the RSS feed of it, and then that every time a new episode comes in, it automatically shows up on the RSS feed. That's how people use social media management platforms, and it sends out all the information. As soon as you upload something new, everybody has everything exactly the same way. It's exactly the same. It gives you uniformity, which I say the importance of managing RSS feeds. It gives you uniformity across the board, and it makes it so that you have more control over your content. And if you're thinking about backlinks, it makes it so that Google finds you faster when you have access to that, and you just kind of drop it as many places as you can. RSS feeds give you that capability. So, definitely something to consider, knowing where that is, especially what platform you're using. But the good news is RSS feeds are also very easy to find. If you don't know where it is, literally a very quick YouTube tutorial, and whatever you're using, they'll tell you exactly where your RSS feed is, down to the point that if you're not even technical, there's a couple little things you can do and click, and I promise you will get your RSS feed. It'll just be right there. It's not anything that's complicated, but most platforms will just say, oh, click here, here's your RSS feed, and you just grab it, and that's it, and then use it. If you really, however you can, wherever you can, that is your little lifeline of your podcast. So it's important. Okay, next up, setting up your podcast website. So I use Squarespace for my blog, and then access to my vlog and podcast, giving everyone one location to find everything GBRLIFE, which I'm going to say right now because everyone always asks me. It stands for Good, Bad, Real Life, GBRLIFE. So why does that matter? Not the Good, Bad, Real Life part, but why does it matter that I use Squarespace and I have all of those things in one location? Well, I'm actually going to also add to that. I do use Shopify for my clothing line, Mama Koala, but I do have the ability to integrate that into Squarespace. So you can see where Squarespace made the most sense for me, right? So why does it matter? Because you should be using a website that makes sense with what you're offering. I don't do just podcasts. I do a blog, the podcast, and a clothing line. So why would I want to just use a podcast hosting platform and leave my life to that? I need more, right? So keep that in mind, because if you're choosing to have a podcast website, you're offering more content in other ways. The platforms I mentioned won't be your best choice. A website from Squarespace can also host a podcast on its own, but so can Weebly, Wix, WordPress. But then again, if you're just offering a podcast, consider the paid platforms like Podbean or Blueberry. Now let's talk about setting up your podcast website and really things to consider in making the choice. Because while podcast hosting platforms often provide a basic web page for your podcast, setting up a dedicated website can offer significant advantages. I needed to expand my little expansion that you don't see on there, but that's fine. We're talking. You see. Okay, so the branding and customization. A dedicated website for your brand and not just a podcast, allowing you to include additional content like blogs, videos, merchandise, brings your audience to one place. Control over your content, giving you the ability to optimize. Okay, just taking a second here. Optimization of your site for SEO. Set branding logos, colors, style, the way that it is best for your audience. This is big because if you're thinking about other places, remember, they have a lot of people. They're not concerned about just you. So you actually have to make sure that your SEO is good for your podcast, but you also want to stand out. So it gets very competitive. But on your site, the goal is to, yes, stand out, but to stand out as a whole. So if you're a brand, you're standing out as a whole. And that's bigger and better in a lot of ways, because then people are finding you as a whole, as a brand versus just your podcast. Because they can find your podcast and be like, "Well, this is really great." And then, kind of forget about you because they don't remember you as a brand as a whole. You're the brand. I talked about that in a previous live, so definitely go check that out. Because remember, YouTube or GBRLIFE.com. What? Am I plugging in my little ad placements? I did. Anyways, engagement opportunities. For when you have your own website. It's also a place where you can show your show notes, your resources mentioned in episodes. Like, remember I said, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to give a link, or I'm going to do this. Yeah, I can put it on different locations here and there. But not everywhere is going to be easy for me to add links and all this information to it. However, if you have your own website and you say, oh, just go to my website. Oh, just go to my website. People know to go to your website. If an outage happens, a band takes over. Guess what? They just go to your website. Yeah, think about that. So, all right. That being said, you can also have forums, comment sections for your listener interaction. And then there's monetization. Maybe you're not getting sponsors for your podcast, but with your own website, you can open additional revenue streams such as sponsored posts, affiliate marketing, or direct listener support through donations or merchandise sales. And this is an area that can grow and change as you need it to. And here are some tips for setting up a successful podcast website. I need to click a button. I just did. Okay. So you want to reuse. You want to use a reliable web host, and the main focus here is good uptime, fast up speeds, and excellent customer support, because obviously if something happens, you want someone to talk to immediately. A podcast player integration, because an embedded player is clean and user-friendly, and it's a must for visitors, and it should always be an option. And then there's the mobile optimization. So not every site is mobile friendly, believe it or not, and a large portion of your listeners are likely to come from mobile sources, making the optimization of the mobile setting imperative. Any website you use should have the option and the look the way you want it when someone is looking at your website on a mobile device. And then regular updates. Just keep it up to date. If your post schedule is on your website, they will know what to expect. And so you can kind of be a little lenient if you do something like that, but people just need to know what you have to offer. But you also want people to head to your site consistently. And I do struggle a lot with this one myself. So if you do too, that's okay. But there is a lot of automation help. And as I navigate the world, the more, with everything with reviews and tips and trips and all this other stuff, I will definitely let everyone know what I know, because that's kind of the point with all of it. That's why I do what I do. I try to tell everybody, as long as I don't keep getting sick. That would be great, right? I think just me, because I feel like I would love to not get sick ever again. Okay, so now let's get into content creation. I promise you there's not that much more. After all of that, you're creating your actual content, you want to consider a few things, like identifying your key themes. Start by outlining the key themes or topics that align with your podcast niche. Obviously they should reflect the interests and needs of your target audience, not you, your audience, but then also what you're good at and your own passion. And then develop the episode ideas. And so essentially what you're seeing also is that I'm saying a lot of planning before creating. But you would brainstorm ideas that explore your themes in interesting ways and consider various formats, such as interviews, solo episodes, panel discussions, and story-driven formats depending on your style and your audience preferences. And then you write a script or an outline, whether you prefer a fully scripted approach or a more free-form outline. Having a plan can definitely keep your episodes more focused and coherent, which is why I have an entire thing that I use when I go live. Do I use it to a degree that I don't allow myself to say whatever I want to say? No, and sometimes I have absolutely nothing in front of me and I'm just talking. When it comes to something like this, I have to be able to give you all of the information I can, right? And I'm going to forget a lot of information. But even if you're in a interview setup, you don't want to be sitting there in front of somebody that you're interviewing and you don't know what to ask or say. You better have those questions on hand, right? And you see the interview have their questions and stuff, but often they have notes. In this case, I'm calling it an outline, but sometimes things are fully scripted. As much as people don't like to admit to the fully scripted environment that we live in, it's there. That being said, there's also completely free-form podcasts that are out there, and they're fantastic. I know a few myself that I love to listen and watch, and I'm a big fan of, but that's not always going to work very well. You need very particular types of personality, and personality not just of you, but also the people that they're interviewing or that are as guests on the podcast, or if it's you alone and you're like a storyteller. It's very difficult because now you have the opportunity to fail in ways that you don't have to if you just do the tiny bit of at least giving yourself an outline. And as you get more comfortable and create that structure and figure out how to avoid rambling and ensure you're covering all your intended points, then you can get into being a lot more freeform, because at the end of the day, you just become a master of your art, right? So, and then of course you should be incorporating storytelling, whether it's on topic or off topic, because it can definitely enrich anything that you're doing. Storytelling is actually a very big part of having a business in general. They even talk about that in sales. If you've ever taken a sales class, you need to know how to tell stories to get somebody to want to buy the product from you. People think of a storyteller as just somebody who's going and writing a book or reading a story. No, it's so much more than that. In some ways, you can think of an elevator speech as the story of you in a very short amount of time, right? Maybe not. Maybe I just think about it that way, but that's what I learned, okay? That's what I learned. Okay. Where am I now? So, share personal anecdotes, relevant case studies, ghost stories, and bring your topics to life. And then involve your audience. Engage your listeners by incorporating their questions and comments and stories into your episodes. This not only makes your content more interactive, but it helps to build a community around your podcast. So what that means, though, is that you're not if you're live, of course, you can just ask somebody right in front of you. But if you're not live, it means that you're in your podcast going, how do you feel about that? What do you think about this? At the end of the podcast, what do you want to hear next? What do you want to talk about? Was this, do you need a deeper dive into this specific subject? Things like that. Like you just add these questions in there and really try and promote people leaving comments, which is also great to push your podcast out there. But it also helps you figure out what your audience is really interested in. I will say that, India, you are great at that. And others that I have listened to are also great. I'm not great at it. But just being honest, because I just ramble. See, all the things that I'm saying, hey, don't do that. I do it, but I also know not to do it. So that's why I create scripts. So if I'm going and I'm doing something, I know, I have a problem with rambling, so I'm going to create the script and I'm going to make it a little bit more concise. I create my script. It sounds good. I have my engagement in there. And then, of course, I end up doing a little bit better in that aspect that day. But again, if you're doing it over and over again and you get better at it and you're not like myself and I just have to ramble anyways, you got it. You just go through it and you don't need to have your script or figure out how to engage the audience. Okay. And you'll also figure out your strategies to keep your listeners coming back. Okay, interactive content. So consider doing live question and answer sessions, polls, interactive segments where listeners can contribute ideas or feedback, and social media integration, using social media platforms to create a community around your podcast, and podcast teasers, behind the scene content, engage in discussions related to your podcast topics. And then there's the feedback mechanisms. Encourage feedback through listener surveys or direct calls to, or just in general, just ask the listeners to comment about what they think. Not just about the content, but about your podcast. And then try and get consistent engagement so that you can, I guess the point is that you're trying to see what they like and what is working, right? But this is a way of doing it by literally asking for it. That's the point. And of course, consistency is key. Consistency in podcasting not only pertains to the frequency of your episodes, but also the quality and style of your content. So you would set a release schedule depending on the publishing schedule that works for you, and you stick to it. Whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, a consistent schedule helps build the listener anticipation and trust. Then you maintain the quality. You ensure each episode maintains a high standard of audio quality, content richness, and delivery. The consistency and quality can significantly affect the listener retention. It can. And personal story, anecdote, we just talked about that. I've had my first season of GBRLIFE of Crimes. I had a couple episodes that were amazing, and then I had a couple episodes that there was the popping sound. I had a horrible mic at the time. And I can tell you, if you just look at the analytics, you can see a huge drop-off on those. And then where I had a hard time to try and get people to even come back into the rest of it. So I lost listeners because I wasn't consistent in my quality. Or, no, I had the consistency on how I was setting up my actual podcast layout of each episode. But even in that, I could have asked my listeners more if they were interested in me changing up that layout, which I did get the feedback on it, but not because I asked, because they just decided to tell me, and I wasn't upset by that. I was actually very excited about it. I was like, okay, what do you prefer? And after I got some feedback, I was like, wow, I don't know why I didn't think of it. And as the episodes progressed, it actually got better. But because I lost the listeners from before, it was actually difficult to get them to know, oh no, I made this better. It was a little bit of a complicated situation, but so don't make that mistake in the beginning. Just don't make the mistake at all. So be consistent, but that's why I talked about the good setup first, so you don't have that problem, essentially. So you sound good consistently, at least. You can change your layout if it's benefiting you because of what your listeners want. But you don't want to change your quality. I guess that's what it boils down to. The quality's it's a make or break. I lost people. Okay, anyway, so plan ahead. And obviously you just maintain your regular schedule. And so batch recording is probably the best strategy to make sure that happens. It avoids last minute rushes and reduces stress. As somebody who did not batch record in the past, don't do that. I mean, batch record is what you need to do. Don't do the whole last minute thing. Ew. For your sanity. Don't do it. Don't do it. Again, for your own personal sanity. Okay. Boop. All right, and then you adapt and evolve. I mean, there's not much to say there. You're going to have to adapt and evolve to see what your listeners want. Okay, now let's get into the fun part about launching and marketing your podcast. Monetization. But wait, actually, let's first talk about publishing. Because, final checks, right? Okay. So, in your final checks before you publish, so I was getting ahead of myself. Final checks before you publish. Make sure your audio is professionally edited for clarity and quality. Check the metadata, episode titles, descriptions, tags to ensure that it's complete, and engagement. Don't you dare release a podcast without the details. Okay? Don't you dare, because that will hurt you. Can you add that in later? Yes. Should you, if you have a podcast out there and you don't have that? Yes. Go get it onto your stuff now. Now. Okay? Because people won't find you. Oh, they won't. And then they'll find you and then they will lose you again. Because they can't, it's so, this is how it works. Do not forget those things. Okay. And of course you want to make sure that it's engaging and stuff as well. I'm gonna add to that. Make sure it's engaging. Don't just be like, this is episode 4. Make it interesting with the titles and descriptions and all that.
And then you want to have a good cover art. It should be eye-catching. And it should also adhere to, obviously, the specifications of various platforms. I have also made that mistake, where I make something really awesome, but it doesn't work in every little location. So make sure that that works before you start going, because you don't want to be last minute going, oh, I've got everything done. And you do. Your podcast has got great quality, with the audio, with everything. It's so great. It's so lovely. And then your little logo, it seems so silly. And yet it can mess it up, because you now no longer look professional because of a little logo. Yeah, think about it. You're window shopping. You're going into the different platforms, and you're going, oh, I don't like that one. That one looks, oh, that's a nice sunflower. Oh, okay. And then it says, oh, okay, let me click on this. I would like to say that people are not visually affected in that way, but we are. It is what it is. So make sure that that works out. Okay, then the editing tools and environments, we've kind of gone into that. So we kind of already know in that sense, with Audacity and all that fun stuff. Actually, let me see. I don't know why I put that in there twice. That's fun. Good job. It's a me for putting something in there twice. But anyways, oh, now I just lost my space again. Don't worry, I'll find it. All right. Going into optimal editing. Okay, so professional assistance, uploading, and then RSS feed submission. Yeah. It's right there. I don't know why this thing, like, I click on it and it's like, oh, because you don't know, because you can't see. You don't know. And I'm just saying words to you. I get it. I literally, I understand. I'm saying just random words to you at the moment. And I'm going to keep saying random words so that I can find my spot again. It's been a long day. Mobile optimization. I should get into some serious singing. I'm laughing because I was going so well, and then I just did one little thing. I was like, oh, let me tell you about this. And then I lost my spot, and now I'm like, where's the next thing? Because I have optimal editing environment, and it's right. I'll just say it because I have it on another spot right there. But anyway, so your optimal editing environment. So besides software, the environment where you edit your software can affect your efficiency and edit to detail. So you want to make sure that you're in a nice quiet space and you've got your audio and all that, right? But if you don't get everything perfectly done and you need to edit your software afterwards, consider professional assistance. It is okay to not be perfect and have everything done. I will say that some of the best podcasters and shows and stuff that we're all listening to will outsource their actual editing portion with places like Fiverr or Upwork and things like that, because there are people who are able to do that, and they do it quickly, and it works out quite well. And they're not extremely expensive. You just find a freelance audio engineer within your budget if that's something that you want to do, and you work with them, and that's it. You get your stuff edited, and you're done. But again, it has to be within your budget. I'm not saying go down that road because I already gave you editing platforms. So if it's really basic stuff, kind of go down the road of doing it yourself. But if you don't have the time and you have the extra cash, there's nothing wrong with using a freelance editor. Honestly, they're going to do things you didn't even probably think of doing. And now you have to be your everything, right? So I've never done it, but it is a good idea. Allegedly, that's what I'm saying right now. So I don't know. Okay, so then you upload your episodes with, of course, your hosting platform, whatever. And you're gonna make sure that you get that RSS feed, right? So these are the final checks that I'm talking about. So it sounds like I'm just going over the same old thing, but I'm telling you, these are the things that you want to go through at the very end. So you've essentially made sure that you have your optimal editing environment. You may consider professional assistance for editing. You are getting ready to upload your episodes, but make sure that you have everything readily available, all right in front of you initially, as in you've batch recorded. You have your show notes. Everything is there ready to go as you're getting ready to do things. You've gone through your different, so for the RSS feeds, you've gone through the Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast doesn't exist anymore. But you've gone through all of it, and you're like, okay, I'm set up in all of these locations. It is going to distribute in the way that I want it to. You want to do all of that before you start to release it all. Because just like I mess up with my lives, I mean, if you don't have to, don't. Because the retention, you lose the retention, essentially. And you don't want to. I do have a couple parts in my actual presentation that I'm not going to go through live, but if you do want to see it, just go into GBRLIFE.com. It is specifically about audience engagement and building a loyal listener base. If you're interested in that, it's just a couple key points on that. But let's get into now marketing your launch and leveraging platforms for promotion. Right? Okay, so effective marketing is key to ensuring your podcast reaches its intended audience, because it makes a splash upon release. Here's the thing about that. This is what I'm about to tell you. This goes for everything. I'd like to say that this is just podcasting. It is not. It is for everything. Everything. Yeah. So it works in all ways. So write this down if you can. Whoever is listening. First thing you're going to do, pre-launch buzz. So you're going to generate anticipation through teaser content. Trailers, snippets on social media, whatever you can. But the other thing is start an email campaign. Alert your list about the upcoming podcast. So get an email campaign. It's good. Because then you have as much buzz as you possibly can. Hey, this is coming, I'm going to do it, it's coming, I did it, it's ready, it's almost there, on this date. Oh my God, it's going to be so great, You don't want to miss out, you got to see this is so great. Get people excited about what you're about to offer them. And get them on an email list so that they don't miss out about this great thing that you're going to give them. Think about that. Oh no, I'm not there yet. That's okay. For those who are on the other side, I'm sorry you cannot see me. I will fix it, but I'm almost done with the presentation anyway, so I'll fix that in just a moment. Now, next up, you have your social media campaign. Okay? You're going to utilize all relevant social media platforms to spread that word. It's a great way to get that buzz started, but in general, just also to create an audience as well. So, I mean, you're tailoring your message specifically to the platform's audience, but it also helps you figure out what the different types of audience could be and who you can bring in. But show them things like behind the scenes content, or for Instagram, that's a good one. Or for Twitter, you can use post-related polls or discussions. And then next, you're going to do as much as you can with influencers and guests. If you can so it doesn't matter what type of podcast you're doing, if you can figure out how to bring a guest or an influencer in on what you're doing, even if it's just somebody who has a few more people in their world than you do, or same amount of people, but it's a different world, consider them as well, because it's going to bring more audience to you. I have nothing to do with, if you're going to use that, sorry Indy, I'm going to use you as an example, I have nothing to do with accounting, but you do accounting, and I'm talking about you over here. There's plenty of people who need, pretty much everybody in the United States at least needs an accountant. So why wouldn't I mention you? I mean, right? And it benefits you. So it could be a situation too that we decide to collaborate and we're live at the same time, or we're doing a podcast with each other. And for those of you who don't know, go follow India the Locked Accountant. She's awesome. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. Go follow, go follow, go follow. And you won't regret it. So you want to go do that because she's awesome. But anyways, but you want to do those collaborations and stuff because it brings different audience members and just gets people interested. Okay. So other than that, you have your actual launch event. So you can make this very subtle and just like, okay, well, I'm live. Or you can make this a big thing. You can make it in person or online, but make it an event. Create the excitement. You already did it with your pre-launch buzz. Make it into an even bigger deal. That day, like, just make it huge. And people are like, what's going on? What did I miss? What's happening in your life? And you're just going to reel in the people. And I mean, you know how people are. We're like, limited time only. Yeah, so just saying. All right, next up, leveraging platform for promotion. Beyond traditional marketing, there are strategies to specific podcast platforms that can help increase your visibility. So you optimize for discoverability using relevant keywords in your podcast title, description, and tags to make it discoverable. And if you can do nothing else in anything that I said today, make sure that you understand what search engine optimization is, SEO, and use it so that you can rank better in search. Oh, I mean, obviously the equipment. I'm just going to say, get good equipment, have good quality sound, and make sure that you are optimizing your SEO. That's you, out of everything I have said. Everything. SEO. And then, of course, if you want to grow, engage with your listeners. Figure out, what they like and they don't like. And, of course, encourage your listeners to give you a positive review. Do not feel bad about asking people to go and actually talk about you in a way that is like, oh, they're awesome. Like, do it. Tell them. Ask them. Seriously. Why not? Why not? That's how you get more people. You should absolutely tell people. Okay, and then next up, I did, again, also I know you cannot see me on the other side, but you will see in front of you marketing strategies, promoting your podcast. I've already kind of talked about it, which was leveraging social media, email marketing, cross-promotion, video content, but there's a few little details in there that you can always read, GBRLIFE.com, so you can see it there. That will help you if you're interested in doing that, but it just goes back to pre-launching. It's kind of important, and email marketing is huge. MailChimp is a great place to go and do that as well, in case you were interested. Now, with monetization opportunities, I'm going to be completely honest with you. There's a lot out there, but you have to know that they exist. And so, I mean, because you can go in and just be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to monetize, but it's because each platform does kind of their own thing. If you don't know about it, you're not going to use it. But I will say that if you do monetize, you have the potential of making about $5,000. This is the average, $5,000 in monthly revenue, a 30% ad growth, and 47 million podcast listeners to potentially gain. So trying to monetize your podcast is a very good idea. Obviously. I mean, that goes without saying, right? And now just give you a couple so that you're aware of it. Okay. Let's see. Spotify allows podcasters to create and share playlists, including their episodes alongside music tracks. So you can do that there. Where is the monetization? I had an entire section of that too, and I cannot find it. Well, the moral of the story is that I guess the best thing to do is to actively go into each and every one of your platforms that you are podcasting through and think about places like social media and places like that, or television, and create your own ads. If you want to do that, which includes, okay, you can use AI to create the ads for you. Go and think about it in the sense of, okay, I want to create a video to get people interested in my stuff. Do those types of promotions and then set yourself up to monetize by going into the platforms and putting yourself as your ad. So hopefully that makes sense. So, for example, you have a video. You're creating a vlog, okay? A podcast vlog version or a video podcast. You have ad space. Instead of create moments for the ads. Instead of putting someone else in your ad space and hoping to get that, show the people, the sponsors, what the ad space will look and feel like, and make it you. Every time. Keep advertising yourself. Then go through social media or through television or anything you can. Create your own ads, put that out there. And the monetization opportunities will come because you are already promoting yourself in the way that shows how you can be monetized. I promise you they'll come. If you build it. They will review all of your information and all of your views and you and determine if you're a good fit. But places like Spotify for podcasters, they literally will ask a whole bunch of other places and people, places, and things and see if they want to work with you and actually monetize your stuff by putting sponsorship within your podcast. And they will just automatically add it. If you leave space for in your podcast to do that, you're going to get your monetization. It will happen. So just consider that. Okay. Well, it is that time now. It is time to wrap up. And we're at 2 hours in. So I'm not going to lie. I'm excited, especially because y'all can't even see me on the other side with Twitch and YouTube. And oh, this is going to be a fun video to edit. Just, you can't even see me. I will just put my little, I know how to do this. So, because I'm just like rambling right now. Just so anybody knows, one thing that you can do in a situation like I'm in right now, if you have video editing software, Adobe's great for that as well. You literally, so that's one of the reasons I always put a green screen behind me, is you can literally just take yourself out from one video and literally pop yourself into the other one, put the video together, boom, you send it back out, and it was like you were there the entire time. There you go. That's what I do when things like this happen. But as we wrap up, I want to remind you that podcasting is a powerful way to share your voice and connect deeply with an audience. It's a journey that offers personal growth and a unique way to communicate your passions. I encourage all of you to take the next step in planning, getting creative with your content, and launching the podcast that you have always wanted to create. And if you want more insights, tips, stories about motherhood, corporate life, and wellness, or some true crime stories, reviews, tutorials, and so much more, don't forget to visit GBRLIFE.com. Yes, it has all of that via a blog, podcast, and a vlog. And also check out GBR Life's Mama Koala clothing line in the next few days when I finally actually add in all the new collections for the spring and the summer. I'm very excited about that, as you can probably tell. But make sure, well, the thing is that they are fun, cute, and just really comfortable clothing. So be sure to check out mamakoala.com in the next few days. Not literally right now because you're just going to have a bunch of winter stuff. But a new collection is literally coming. I've spent quite some time creating and getting it ready, and it's about to be released. But anyways, more of the story is you want to dive deeper into what GBR Life has to offer, and join my community, really. And just come over. And don't worry, I ramble a lot, but not usually this bad. I'm just very tired. It's very late. And my electronics haven't been working the way that I wanted it to after not going live for like 3 weeks because I was sick and then sick and then sick. So, you know, it gets better, not worse, I promise you. Anyways, but thank you, all of you, for joining this session. I'm extremely exhausted at this point, so it is time for me to head off to bed. But don't worry, I'll be back on next week. Unless I get sick, but I don't think I will, so I'll be back next week. And and I'm going to discuss a nice topic instead of a tutorial or review, because it's more about what GBR Life has to offer. I do tutorials, reviews, a lot of motherhood and you name it, wellness. But this one I think is a really good topic to discuss. I talk about it on my blog a lot, and that is expectations. The problem might just be you. Or is it them? It could be them. Or is it you? Who has the expectation? And why do we have expectations? And what does that mean? And should we have these expectations? And are they societal? Were we conditioned to have the expectation? These are the things I'm going to talk about next week. So I'm really excited. You better be too. And if you're not, that's completely fine. I just hope to see you next week so we can discuss. And if you have any questions about podcasting that I did not go over because of monetization, I did have a lot more, but I cannot find it in my notes. I literally cannot right now. So if you have any other questions or anything, please feel free to contact me. You can contact me via GBR Life, but you can also contact me really across social media. So it's really just up to you on how you plan on contacting me. But let me know whatever it is that you are interested in talking about or you want me to talk about, and we'll do this. Okay? So all of you have a really good night. A huge thank you to India for jumping on my live. And yeah, that's it. Have a great night, everybody.